Just a little bit concerned as to why you're filming inside Sussex Police premises.
Well, first of all, can you actually identify yourself properly for me?
Yeah, of course. My name's Inspector Simon Barden. I'm one of the duty inspectors up in our
Inspector?
Simon Barden.
Simon Barden, okay.
So I work in the Force Contact Control Room, so we're just wondering why you're stood on our property filming into...
No, I'm stood on public property.
Okay.
So let's verify that.
But you're filming into private property?
It makes no difference.
It does.
Why is that? What law am I breaking?
Because you're filming private property and you haven't...
It makes no difference.
Well, it does. You can't film into private property.
Yes, I can.
Okay, under what law?
Okay. The law is I can film whatever I can see in public. Okay, you can't trespass the eye.
From the very first exchange, the inspector shows how badly out of his depth he is. There is no law in the UK that prevents someone filming a building or vehicles from a public space. An inspector, someone expected to lead by example, should know this without hesitation. When Plod pushes back, the inspector makes it worse by demanding, "Under what law?" That's not just ignorance. It flips the principle on its head. The public doesn't need a law to justify filming in public. Officers need a law to restrict it. Case law and Article 10 of the European Convention on Human Rights make clear that taking photos or filming in public is a protected activity.
The staff members that are coming in, you're putting their security at risk because you could potentially...
I'm not putting anyone's security at risk.
But you could be, couldn't you?
No, that's a presumption, okay? I'm not doing anything wrong.
No, it's not a presumption because I said you could. I didn't say you were, okay. I said you could be. So that's not a presumption, that's me suggesting that you could be.
Okay, and how would I be putting their safety at risk then?
So what are you doing with those films?
Well, it's for personal use.
Okay, what personal use? Are you going to be sharing those online?
I don't know. Whatever personal use I wish.
Okay. So what is the purpose of you being here today, would be my question.
The police is a public service.
Yep.
Okay, and I'm here to actually record what the public pay for.
Okay, but this isn't the police station, this is police
headquarters.
It
makes no difference. The public still pay for it.
Okay, I don't understand what you're trying to achieve though, because if you want to make sure...
I'm not trying to achieve anything, I'm just filming what the public pay for.
Okay, but if you're trying to prove that the public are paying and getting value for service, surely you'd be better...
I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all.
So what did you say?
Okay, I said I'm just here to film what the public pay for. That's it.
Okay, for what reason?
My own reason.
Instead of recognizing that filming from a public space is lawful, he starts demanding explanations. What are you doing with the footage? What personal use? For what reason? That's not policing. That's fishing. He isn't investigating an offense. He's trying to manufacture one by forcing Plod to justify something that requires no justification. Legally, Plod had no obligation to answer. Filming in public is lawful by default, and there is no statute that says a citizen must provide their motives to police. Article 10 of the Human Rights Act makes clear that photography and recording are protected expression. By pressing for personal reasons, the inspector was treating a right like a privilege, as if Plod needed his approval to carry on.
And do you come here regularly and do this?
That's irrelevant.
Okay. I feel like I've come down to have a conversation with you and engage with you, and you're not particularly willing to engage.
Yeah, but that conversation is irrelevant, okay? That's called fishing. For information.
It's not called fishing, it's called engaging with someone. It's called
I'll have a conversation about whatever you want, okay? But whether or not I've been here or not, or whether or not I'm actually filming, I'm just doing exactly what I'm perfectly lawfully allowed to do.
What my concern would be is that, do you pose a security threat?
Okay, your concern and what the law is are two different things.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Okay, your feelings and what you feel is not the law. Okay, right. What I'm doing is perfectly lawful.
Not if you pose a security threat.
In what way? You still haven't answered that.
Have you answered my question?
Okay, you still haven't answered that.
Have you answered my question?
I don't need to answer your question.
And I don't need to answer your questions.
Okay.
When the inspector falls back on the line about a security threat, it exposes how little substance he has. Security can't just be a buzzword officers throw out when they have no legal footing. To restrict someone's rights, there has to be a reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. Not just a feeling, not just discomfort of being filmed. That standard is enshrined in PACE and case law for a reason. Because policing by feelings would make everyone a suspect. Claude nailed it when he told him feelings aren't the law. The inspector's inability to describe any actual threat proves the point. He wasn't assessing a risk. He was covering his own lack of knowledge. That's why he resorted to childish deflection, saying, "Have you answered my questions?" instead of giving a straight answer.
Are you recording police vehicles? Are you recording information on police staff?
I'm recording whatever I can see.
Bear with me a second.
Why are you filming here?
Because I'm well within my legal rights to do so.
But why?
It's a public service that the public
Have you
pay
a keen
for.
interest in the police?
Okay, I have an interest in all public services.
So you do this on a regular basis?
Okay, that's irrelevant.
Well, rather than filming us, why don't you ask us some questions and we can if
Well,
you're interested in the police,
first of all, okay, if I had been approached correctly, okay, then I would have, okay, but your inspector hadn't, okay. You've come out, you've made an allegation, okay, towards me. No, you did. You made an allegation that your staff, okay, are alarmed and distressed, okay.
Yes,
you should know, as a constable, okay, you cannot be alarmed and distressed.
Any person can feel harassment, alarm and distress.
Not when you're an officer. It is case law, and you cannot. You cannot be.
But let me speak. Let me get my point across so you can get yours. Okay?
I can film whatever the eye can see, sir.
Okay, but this is what I'm saying. Okay, you've just said what you want, so let me speak. Okay, members of staff leaving this building, this facility, in their plain clothes, in their own car, you filming them has caused them alarm, harassment and distress. Okay, they're not on duty as police officers, so they can feel alarm and distress.
The moment the two constables arrive, their defense collapses under its own weight. They claim staff entering and leaving the HQ are alarmed and distressed by Plaud's filming. Case law has long established that police, by the nature of their work, are expected to face a higher threshold of challenge and discomfort. Trying to wriggle out of that, the constables argue that these are staff in plain clothes in their own cars. But that changes nothing. They're still on police premises, tied to policing functions, and directly associated with the institution Plaud is auditing. They're linked to the police is exactly why Section 5 doesn't apply in the same way. You can't clock out of accountability simply because you're not in uniform, especially when you're entering or leaving HQ property.
Security risk.
From that here all the way round inside this property, okay, I can film.
It doesn't matter. When we book off our system off duty, we're off duty. However, what we are going to clarify is whether what you're standing on is private land.
It's publicly accessible.
No.
It's publicly accessible under Section 33 of the Criminal Justice Act.
We're going to find out whether this part that you're standing on is private.
But then if you can show me the actual signs that state private property along there, okay, no public access, then fine, I will move on. Okay, but there are no signs, and it's publicly accessible.
What is your name, young man?
It's irrelevant.
You've clearly come here for an argument.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
Being here, then?
Because I want to film.
Film what? Film what?
Okay, what the public
Film
pay
us
for.
leaving the building.
No, I'm filming what I can see.
Well,
Okay.
what you're doing is you're filming people leaving in their personal vehicles. Okay?
That's not exciting.
And that's a security threat.
No, how is that a security threat?
Their registration.
Do you,
That's a presumption.
Do you not see what happens in the world?
That's a presumption.
You're not seeing what's happening in the world.
Okay, yeah, but that is a presumption, okay?
It's not a presumption.
And where you just said, okay, about to do with license plates, okay? License plates are in the public domain, okay? You guys have access to that
You're
information.
putting that on YouTube and you're specifically...
Who said that? Who said that? Whoa. Hang on a minute. Hang on. No. You said that. I haven't said it. No, don't shout at me.
Listen to me.
Do not shout at me. No, don't shout at me.
So let me have my piece.
Please do not shout at me.
Let me have my piece then.
Yeah, as long as you don't shout at me.
The two constables quickly fall back on the same excuse the inspector tried earlier, claiming Plaud is a security threat. Their justification that he's filming staff registration plates, but Plaud dismantles that instantly. Number plates aren't secret. They're a legal requirement to be displayed in public. Every single one is in the public domain, visible to anyone walking down the street. Calling that a threat is pure fantasy. What makes their claim even weaker is the fact that police themselves have full access to registration details through the DVLA and their own systems. If anyone has the ability to check plates, it's the officers, not the public. So, trying to frame filming what's already visible as suspicious is absurd. It exposes the tactic for what it is, stretching security into a catch-all excuse whenever they don't like being recorded.
You are a public servant, okay? I am here as a member of the public to film public property, okay, and a public service that the public pay for, okay? I'm doing a completely lawful activity, okay? I'm breaking no law, I'm committing no crime, right? And I shall carry on about my business, okay? If you decide that you want to harass me, then you carry on and do that, sir.
The issue you have...
Could you step back a
is
little
that
bit,
what
please?
you're doing is you're causing our colleagues harassment.
Would you mind
alarm, and
stepping
distress,
back a little bit,
okay?
please?
You're causing our colleagues harassment,
Would you
alarm,
mind
and distress.
stepping back a little bit, please?
Okay. Why don't you step back further over there to
No,
the pavement
because
over
I
there?
moved to here and you came to me. Okay?
I'll come
Just
to you.
because you're...
Because it's strange, and I'm asking you why you're filming.
And you walk to me.
I'm asking you why you're filming.
If you don't want to be that close to someone, then don't walk up to them that way.
Listen to
me for a minute.
Okay? If you ask your colleague to step back, I will talk with you. No, he's walked right the way up. Now, this is me feeling alarm and distress.
He's not in your personal space.
Yes, he is. Okay? He's well within an arm's reach.
Don't touch me.
I didn't touch you.
This was the point where the officer completely gave up on professionalism. After being outer-argued on every point of law, he stepped right into Claude's personal space, crowding him without cause. That isn't policing, it's intimidation. Officers are trained to de-escalate and maintain safe distance, not use their physical presence as a weapon when the law isn't on their side. While leaning into Claude, the officer warns him, "Don't touch me." Even though Claude hadn't laid a hand on him, that's not a warning. That's bait. It's a preemptive excuse designed to flip the blame if things kick off. By engineering a scenario where any accidental contact could be twisted into assaulting police, the officer showed he wasn't interested in upholding the law, only in trapping Claude.
You get arrested for
I did
assault.
not touch you, so let's get that right. I did not touch you.
Don't touch me. You
Okay?
touch me and you get
I
arrested
did
for
not
assault.
touch you, so
Okay?
you need to be quiet on that one. Okay? Don't tell me I touched you when I did not touch
Don't
you.
touch me,
I
or
did
you'll
not
be
touch you.
arrested for
It's all on camera.
Do you understand
Okay?
that?
I did not touch you. Don't
Don't
tell me
reach
do I
forward
understand.
and try and touch me.
Okay? Do not tell me, okay?
Sir,
Right? He's got a real attitude problem.
listen.
Yes, he has.
Sir,
you're not listening.
if you'd like to talk to me for a second,
Yeah,
that'd be
that's
great.
fine.
Okay. So I just wanted to clarify some things. You're right, this is a public area. You are entitled to film here. However, your behaviour is causing our staff harassment, alarm and distress.
Who's that then?
So we've had members of our staff complaining about you, filming them, leaving the premises, and that is causing them harassment, alarm and distress.
As a police officer or police officer, they cannot be the victim of being alarmed and distressed. No, they cannot. You need to actually look at that. It is case law and it is there.
Sir, listen to me. Yes, they can.
No, they cannot.
Yes, they can. So as such, under Section 50 of the Police Reform Act 2002, I'm going to ask you to provide me your details, your name and address.
Now, I will actually state this, okay? Under Section 50, okay, the Police Reform Act, okay, there has to be a member of the public within 150 metres of me.
No, they
okay?
doesn't.
Yes, they
no,
do.
They doesn't,
okay?
Right,
you will not be getting my details.
So if you refuse to provide those details, you're liable to be arrested.
You will not get my details. I'll tell you that straight because I've done nothing wrong.
That's fine. I'm going to ask you again. You've caused our staff harassment, alarm, distress.
And I'm going to tell you no.
There is concern around your behaviour and how it's making our staff feel.
And I'm going to tell you no.
That request from you to provide me with your name and
I'm
address.
going to tell you no because I've done nothing wrong.
You're under arrest.
Okay, right. Hang on. Just before you go, would you mind just reading my wrist, please?
The inspector coming back into the scene should have been an opportunity to restore order, but instead, he paired the same nonsense as his constables. But when the inspector reached for Section 50 of the Police Reform Act, that's when it got outrageous. Section 50 isn't a free pass to demand ID. It only applies when there are reasonable grounds to believe someone is committing antisocial behavior towards the public. Claude was standing on public land, quietly filming a government building. No members of the public were even in sight, let alone affected. The inspector's denial of that requirement shows either complete ignorance of the law or a deliberate abuse of it. And when Claude refused to hand over his details, they arrested him. That's not policing, that's punishment for noncompliance. Now, Claude gives an update on his arrest.
As we know, I got one offer, okay, that got turned down, and we now have a court date for the end of February, so I will keep you updated on that, Pete. So, as you know, I gave you an update on Inspector Barton, and where it should have actually gone to court at the end of last month, and basically things have sort of been delayed, so I'm now waiting for another date for that, and as soon as I have that, I will let you know.
Claude's update flips this whole case on its head. After being unlawfully arrested under Section 50, he didn't just complain, he sued. The force offered him a settlement, but instead of taking the easy payout, he turned it down to drag the inspector into court. That decision is massive. Settlements allow forces to sweep misconduct under the rug, but a trial puts everything on record. If Claude wins, not only could the payout be far higher, £5,000 to £15,000 depending on damages and aggravating factors, but it would also leave the inspector's conduct publicly stamped as unlawful for the force. That's reputation damage, wasted taxpayer money, and likely disciplinary consequences. From the very start, the inspector showed he didn't understand the basics of public filming law, trying to invent rules on the spot. For someone at that rank, it was embarrassing. He wasn't teaching his constables the law. He was teaching them how to bluff. Instead of de-escalating, he escalated. Instead of leading, he copied their mistakes. It exposed not just poor training, but a failure of leadership at the highest level. The arrest itself was the clearest proof of that. Section 50 was twisted into something it was never designed to be a punishment for non-compliance rather than a safeguard against genuine antisocial behavior. Claude was right to point out that there were no members of the public affected, and the inspector was wrong to deny it. Even the behavior of the constables played into the bigger picture. From baiting Claude in his personal space to trying to pass off security threat and distress staff as legal grounds, they showed what happens when frontline officers are emboldened by weak leadership. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me continue with my independent coverage. Thanks for watching.